So, welcome to the People's History Archive here in the heart of Birmingham at this esteemed historic institution, the Birmingham and Midland Institute. We're up here on the second floor of the BMI, and one of the main reasons why we decided to establish the People's History Archive here was that Birmingham and the West Midlands in general have just as much right as anywhere to lay claim to being the cradle of the Industrial Revolution. And if you look to other important industrial centres in Britain, Manchester, Salford, London, for example, they have their own repositories of working class labour trade union history. Birmingham hitherto has never had a repository like this, and that really is for a couple of different reasons. One, I think, is historical. You know, the nature of small-scale artisanal industry in Birmingham and the West Midlands around the time of the Industrial Revolution meant that many of the innovations that were developed here, the Watt steam engine, for example, actually were used to greater effect elsewhere, where they found large manufacturers that could use them. Another part of it is psychological, I think, as well. You know, people from around these parts don't have the pretensions of those in London. They don't tend to have the swagger of those in Manchester, so they don't blow their own trumpet perhaps as much as they should. So these were the principal factors in us wanting to establish a repository, an archive of working class history here in Birmingham. So how we came about establishing the archive itself? Well, a number of us who founded the archive and who established it here were in possession of materials related to trade union history, social history, people's history, working class history, collected over the course of years, decades, generations in some cases. And we really had three options on what we could do with it. One was that we could continue letting it grow mouldy and clog up our homes, our corridors, our garages and cupboards. Second option was that we could get rid of it. You know, we either could have got rid of it to the landfill, or could have tried to send it to a better home in another archive somewhere else. And the third option, obviously, which was the option that we took, was to establish our own archive where we could put our own stamp on it and try to ensure that it gets the treatment here in Birmingham and in the West Midlands that it deserves. So obviously the core of the archive is the materials that we hold here, and really the cornerstone of those materials is our collection of George Barnsby's estate. Now, you may not have heard of George Barnsby's name before, but he was the authority on social history in the West Midlands. He was actually from down south to begin with, but he settled up here and was a teacher of adult education in Wolverhampton. And he wrote a number of important authoritative texts on the lives and struggles of working people in the West Midlands. And after he sadly passed on, we crowdfunded, the group of us as directors here crowdfunded for a purchase of materials from his estate, materials that related directly to working class history in the West Midlands. In addition to the materials from George Barnsby, we've also received generous donations from a number of different sources. One of these donations came from the granddaughter of Albert Knight. He was a turn-of-the-century trade unionist, member of the National Union of Railwaymen, and most significantly for us, one of the organisers of the Labour College. Now, the Labour College was the first attempt at independent working class education in Britain, organised under the auspices of the TUC, operating from 1909 to 1929, and Albert Knight was one of their main organisers. And we here at the People's History Archive really see that as part of our heritage in independent working class education. That too is one of our objectives. We've also received, just to the right of me now, a huge donation from the Communication Workers Union here in Birmingham. They're just around the corner from us here, the British Telecom workers, who have donated the entirety of their minute books and archives to us. And most recently then, we've received another extensive donation of the archives of the Daily Worker and the Morning Star in bound volumes from the Marx Memorial Library that we collected from London just last week. So although obviously it's these materials that are at the heart of what the archive is, they are not the full extent of what the archive does. We have participated in and hosted and organised a number of different events in the few years that we have been a going concern. Part of these have been regular participation in Birmingham Heritage Weeks, where we commonly host events. One of our volunteers is a local expert on Birmingham's involvement in the Spanish Civil War. The volunteers from Birmingham and the West Midlands who went out to Spain to volunteer to fight against fascism there. And during Birmingham Heritage Weeks, as part of the activities of the archive, Ian has regularly put on short Spanish Civil War reenactments with some of our younger volunteers, and you'll find videos of those online as well. Further to that, we have undertaken, thanks to generous grants from Historic England, the Social History Society and the National Archives, we've been able to undertake extensive oral history projects as well. You know, this is a monument, this archive is a monument to a way of life that is dying out. We are now 50 years deep into deindustrialisation in Britain, and we have undertaken these oral history projects to capture from retired workers in Birmingham a way of life and a way of work and a way of struggle that is in danger of being forgotten, is in danger of being taken to the grave.
Hi, my name is Tanya. I'm a third-year History of Art student at the University of Birmingham. I'm doing my internship for my professional skills module, which includes me doing 70 hours of work, and I've decided to do it in this archive because they have a lot of information on imperialist movements and anti-imperialist movements, and I'm doing my research on the Zimbabwean independence. At the end of it, I will be writing an essay that will go on to the archive's website and helping out with some events as well.
On the 4th of October, we're organising an event in King's Heath, which is about the Labour Party's reaction to the development of the nuclear deterrent after World War II. So we'll have an exhibition, a role play, a little talk about what was happening. We'll have characters. Will be a Labour politician and also some people who are involved in the peace movement in the 1970s and 80s. We've got lots of first-hand evidence in the exhibition too. We'll also have activities like making paper cranes, which was done in Japan after the dropping of the atomic bombs.
And, we're always on the lookout for new volunteers. We have volunteers coming in from universities. We've had high school work experience volunteers and also mature volunteers as well. And the whole purpose of the archive was to open up this material to interested external parties, researchers, hobbyists, amateur historians, etc. So if you do have an interest or an inquiry about any of the materials that we hold, please do get in touch as well.